was Saturday and Sunday. So first, I also couldn't find any reason not to express my contentment for moderating this session, and this is supposed to be the first webinar of Think India Debating Forum in partnership with the knowledge partner Loctopus and of course the media partner Loctopus, and which is happening to be the 17th of October 2020. And of course, yes, it is a Saturday morning. So first, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Think India National In Charge, Mr. Ganesh Turerao and Think India's national co-convener, Mr. Shivam Raghuvanji. So before we jump into this event, I would like to invite Mr. Aditya Kashyapji, who is supposed to be the national co-convener of Think India, to please address the gathering.
Namaste and welcome everyone. I hope you all and your family members are keeping well. Am I audible?
Yes.
So friends, I've been asked to talk about Think India and initiatives. So Think India is a manifestation of the vision to connect the students across India's educational institutes to a nationalistic thought process and to harness their collective potentials towards the aim of national reconstruction. We as a pan-India organization have been striving to bring together best talents and minds of the country and infuse in them a nation-first attitude, to develop in them a solution-oriented thinking process, and to inspire young India to serve the society. What began as a micro initiative in a city-level workshop in Bengaluru by students from Indian Institute of Science, IIM Bengaluru, NIMHANS and NLSIU back in 2006 has today evolved into one of the largest networks of students in premier institutions across India. Dear friends, collaborating with institutions, individuals, and enterprises, we at Think India have tried to ensure maximum opportunities for students and professionals in our network to develop and contribute in various dimensions. For the past 15 years, from organizing seminars, symposiums, competitions, workshops, summits, to providing fellowship opportunities in and across India, we have also sent batches of interns to assist our member at international law. Further, over years, we have been offering various internship opportunities to students and budding professionals all across India. Some of these schemes, just to name them, are Anubhuti, the social internship, Vidhi, the legal internship, Niti, policy research internship, Consider a parliamentary internship, and Samvad, the journalism and mass media internships. We seek inspiration from challenges and convert adversities into opportunities. Due to this, our work has grown manifold ever since the COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown began. So we have transitioned our entire domain of work to the electronic space. For the past few months, we have conducted more than 70 live sessions on wide-ranging issues by celebrated experts and eminent personalities across various fields. In addition to our monthly national article writing competition, which has also been going on for past 15 months, we have had our study circles, workshops, webinars, competitions at the state and campus level as well, which has been fully functional in this period. Furthermore, we have conducted our flagship events all in the digital space using video conferencing like National E-Youth Parliament, National E-Debate Competition, and National E-Model United Nations. These events have been followed by a series of book launch events as well of celebrated authors like Amish, Pawan K. Verma, Jakia Soman, Koral Dasgupta, and dear friends, this Gandhi Jayanti, we launched more than 24 forums for further engaging students with varied interests across various fields. Some of these are, say, Writers Forum, Forum for Legal Activism, Women and Child Rights Forum, Forum for International Relations, LGBTQ Rights Forum, Languages Forum, etc. So the Debaters Forum is one such platform of Think India, which is working with the motto, voice out your opinion. From organizing informal discussions, parliamentary debate competitions, to skilling people in the art of debate and discussion, Debaters Forum has been functional since its inception. Entirely run by our team of volunteers and imbibing collective decision-making in its spirit, the forum endeavors not only to provide a platform to express their views for all those who have something to contribute, but also to help them master the nuances of debating and arguing. Today's event My dear friends, is a part of this journey. And on this note, I once again welcome our distinguished guest speaker, all the members of Debaters Forum, and all the participants. Wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya ji, for setting the tone for the event. So we'll definitely begin the event. So before that, I would once again thank each and every one of the delegates for gracing this event, and of course the organizers and the dignitaries of Think India for contributing and making and coordinating this event and making this shape. And last but not the least, the speaker of the talk show, Ms. Kudrat Chaudhary. So before we jump into the session, I would just give you a glimpse of how this progresses. So we would have a talk session on the topic of perceiving the art of debating by Ms. Kudrat Chaudhary, and then we would have a Q&A session which would be moderated by Ms. Ananya ji, and as a concluding remark, a note of thanks by Ms. Razwal Purewal ji. So I guess you all are a little bit curious about our esteemed speaker. So I just wanted to give a glimpse about our esteemed speaker. So Ms. Kudrat Chaudhary, a keen observer of human behavior and a treasure of life experiences, is an international lawyer and is currently working as a gender specialist in the field of gender-based violence asylum claims. She has graduated from the prestigious law school, that is a Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy with an LLM, and is concentrated on the gender analysis in international law. So apart from this, she is an author and she has written on various magazines. So just to name a few, the Daily Post and the Search Report and the Tribune. So I definitely, and I presume that the next 1 hour will definitely be so enriching to all of us, and would definitely improve our intellectual minds and create a new bent of mind. So without much of a further ado, I would like to invite Ms. Kudrat Chaudhary to take charge of the particular session. And now the floor is yours, madam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for those kind words. I hope everybody can hear me. Just nod if everybody can hear me. Okay. Okay, I'm audible. All right, great. Thank you all the attendees. Thank you, Think India. Thank you, Razwal. Thank you, Dutta. Thank you, Swapnil. Thank you for such a brilliant introduction. And a very big thank you to all the participants for taking out the time on a Saturday morning to join this session. So today we'll be talking about perceiving the art of debating, right? Now, if you ask me whether I like debating or not, I personally am a big fan of discussion than debates, because I feel that no matter whether you're having a debate or you're having a discussion, whether it's a deliberation, no matter what you're doing, the end goal should be A, to learn as much as you can, B, to sort of reach an agreement, C is to enrich yourself and the other side with as much knowledge as you can. So I personally am a big fan of deliberations and discussions over debating. However, I reached this point where I really like discussions and deliberations after indulging myself in a lot of debates and learning how to debate, learning how to become an orator, learning how to present my points in the most articulate manner and fashion. And that's what I try to tell all of you, or to share with all of you the kind of tips that I learned throughout my journey. So first we'll be talking about the forms of debating. Realize that there are different forms of debating. Everybody is not going to be good at every form of debating, right? हो सकता है आप parliamentary debate में अच्छे हैं, हो सकता है you're a great mooter. It is quite possible that you're really good at Oxford style debating. So don't try and force yourself to be great at everything, because the main point of every form of debating is the format. ठीक है? हर debating style का format different होता है. So today I'll be talking about 4 different styles of debating. The first would be the Oxford style of debating, right? Oxford style of debating mein, what happens is that you have 2 speakers. Let's say it's me and it's somebody else, and there is a topic. Let's say the topic is death penalty should be given to rapists, for example. That's the topic. So one side would be debating for the topic and the other side would be debating against the topic. Before the debate starts, what happens is that the moderator or the judges would conduct a poll from the audience, And when the debate ends, they would do the same poll. Like they would conduct another poll to see whether the debaters were able to change the minds of the audience, or they were not able to do that. So a poll happened in the start and a poll happens at the end of the debate. Then the structure of the debate goes like, both the speakers would go, one speaker would give their opening remarks, the other speaker would give their opening remarks. After that, there's going to be an intra-panel discussion, which is moderated by the moderator. And that discussion takes place from the statements that both the sides have made. After that, there is a question and answer round where the audience gets the chance to ask the debaters a question on their position. And at the last, obviously, you have closing remarks. The beauty about Oxford style debating is that it's very one-sided. So if you think that you're very passionate about the position that you have, then Oxford style debating works very well. As long as you're following the format, which is something that I just explained. And obviously there are a lot of nuances which you would realize once you are into this style of debating. You're good with whatever I just explained. So after the Oxford style of debating, let's move on to the parliamentary style of debating. And another thing about Oxford style of debating is that it's adversarial, and something that is very helpful for, let's say, for lawyers as well, because the structure that we have is adversarial, right? Okay, is my voice, I can listen to myself. Is it,
I'll try to fix it. I think someone's voice is buffering.
Okay. All right. So after the Oxford style of debate, we have the parliamentary debate. Now, the thing with the parliamentary debate is that there are different formats of parliamentary debate. And I will tell you the format that I have followed when I used to do parliamentary debate. If you would see parliamentary debate as to how it's done in the United Kingdom, you would generally have 2 speakers from each team. The parliamentary debate that I did, we had 3 speakers. So I believe it was one side would be the government and the other side would be the opposition. So the structure goes like the prime minister would come and give his or her position. Then you have the first opposition speaker, after which you have the second government speaker. Then you have the leader of the opposition, and then you have the whip. When I did parliamentary debate, I was generally the whip. And the work of the whip is to basically just rebut, thrash the entire case that the government or the other side has put forth. And the person moderating a parliamentary debate is either called a Madam Speaker or Mr. Speaker. And in this form of debate, you generally have points of information. So for example, the topic again is that this House believes that, let's say, Donald Trump is the best president America has ever had. The government will have to make sure that they are giving all their arguments in favor of this. So in a parliamentary debate, whatever the topic is, the government by default has to support it, whether it's a positive topic or a negative topic, and the leader of opposition and the opposition obviously has to rebut it. Now, points of information. What happens with points of information is that, for example, I am the leader of opposition. I am speaking and I'm saying that I don't believe that Donald Trump is the best president that America has had. You from the other team can say point of information, and it's my prerogative whether I accept that point of information or not. Points of information are basically questions, and points of information are allowed in parliamentary style of debate, but they're not allowed in Oxford style debate. Then we move on to Lincoln-Douglas debate. So the beauty of Lincoln-Douglas debate is that it's very structured, very philosophical. I would say I personally would consider Lincoln-Douglas debate to be at a high level as compared to Oxford style or parliamentary debate, because historically Lincoln-Douglas debate comes from a series of 7 debates which happened between Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party candidate Stephen Douglas. And how this debate is structured is very different from the Oxford style debate and the parliamentary debate. Now, what happens is that in a Lincoln Douglas debate, the first thing is you have a premise, and this premise needs to be a value premise. Now, what are the values we have? Let's say justice, morality, social welfare. So, for example, the topic is um, death penalty should be abolished, for example. That's the topic. Your value premise in for this topic would, let's say, justice, or it would say, let's not even take that, let's take morality. And your value premise is that I choose morality because I feel that it's immoral to put somebody down, and we don't have the power to take somebody's life. This doesn't resonate with what I particularly believe in about the death penalty, but I'm just giving you an example. So your value premise for a Lincoln Douglas debate, if this is the topic, let's say, would be morality. After you've decided your value premise, then you decide your criteria. Your criteria is basically based on principles, and these principles are something that we get from philosophies, different kinds of philosophies. For example, utilitarianism, hedonism, Marxism, meritocracy, um, you know, philosophies that have been given by Mal Durkheim, so on and so forth. So you really need to understand the nuances of philosophy, what philosophers have taught over centuries, and that becomes your criterion. So for, let's say, for this topic, my criterion is utilitarianism, that it doesn't serve the larger good to impose death penalty, for example. If that's my criterion. And then the third would be the contention. Contention would be your basic arguments, those arguments which you would use in an Oxford style debate, or you would use in a parliamentary style debate. So the reason why Lincoln Douglas becomes a tad more difficult as compared to the Oxford style debate and the parliamentary debate is because you are also delving yourself in philosophy, and there's a lot of conversation about values, and there has to be a value premise and there has to be a criterion, which again does not need to be there in the other forms of debating. Then we talk about impromptu debating. So the thing with parliamentary debate is also, again, as I said, there are different formats. One format, the one that I told you, the one that I personally used to do, was also impromptu. So that meant that we would get our topics, let's say 10 minutes before the debate would start. It can be like that in parliamentary style. It can also be that you get a topic one day before. It totally depends on what format a particular organization is following. So when we come back to impromptu debating, it can be parliamentary style, it can be Oxford style, that you give in your topic again half an hour before. But generally, the tenets of an impromptu debate are that it has to be humorous. So generally, humor is given a lot of points. It has to be light, and it has to have logic. So everything that it's not as serious as an Oxford style debate, it's not as serious as, let's say, an MUN, but it's something that it's like a casual conversation. It's basically created for first time speakers. So let's say if you're a first time speaker, you're trying to build on your speaking skills, definitely try impromptu debating. I think that's something where you should start from, because the format varies, the prep time is less, and the topics are very diverse and not as serious. So these are the four kinds of debate patterns that I wanted to talk about. The first is the Oxford style, second is the parliamentary style of debating, third is Lincoln Douglas debate, and the fourth is impromptu debating. Now we move on to the requisites of debating. And believe you me, I think this is the most important aspect of debating. If you register what I'm going to say now, that's going to help you, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a debater, no matter what you do, that's going to help you rather than remembering the formats of the debates that we just talked about. So the first requisite of debating or of becoming a good orator is reading. So make sure that you're reading, and it doesn't really have to be books. It has to be a basic understanding of what's happening around the world, a basic understanding of issues, a basic insight into issues. And that's why reading is super important, because if you know what's happening, if you have the knowledge of concepts, only then are you able to create a cohesive and articulate argument. And once you create that, after that, you can work on making that argument more persuasive. So your first and the most important aspect of becoming a good debater or an orator is reading. Please read as much as you can. And again, also remember that caveat that you're not going to know everything, but have some information about what's happening. So read. Not just books, but general knowledge, newspapers, and just everything that comes to you. Then the second thing is body language. So I don't know what have how all of you debate. Everybody has a different style. Recognize that. I know when I went for debating competitions, and also if you see different orators, everybody has a different style. There's certain I saw there were a few speakers. Generally, there were a few male speakers who would be loud, who had very aggressive hand gestures. And I believe a lot of speakers do that to come across as intimidating. But the mistake that orators make when they're doing all these pompous actions is that they start coming across as offensive, and you don't want to do that. So your body language is super important. Don't think that just because you're shouting, or just because you're trying to be intimidating, or just because you're heckling or you're being disrespectful to another speaker would make you a better speaker. That's not what's going to make you a better speaker. A clear line of thought, articulate arguments, and logic that you would be presenting with your arguments would make you a good speaker. Whether you shout, whether you're a calm speaker, that really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what matters is your confidence and how persuasive you are as a speaker. That's it. So you don't have to be Arnab Goswami. You do not have to be a heckler like Donald Trump. You just have to make sure that you're speaking well and you're speaking persuasively. Then the third aspect is be a good listener. To become a good orator, you only become a good orator, as I said, keep reading. Read as much as you can. But not everybody is a reader. Not everybody has the patience to sit and retain everything. If I talk about myself, I'm a very quick reader. I cannot sit with one book for like 5 days and complete it. I lose track very easily. So for me, I have to quickly read it. But when I'm reading it, I make sure I'm reading it from multiple sources. And many times I would also listen to news or watch news so that I retain everything I'm watching, listening, or reading about. So make sure you're a good listener. And especially if you're not a good reader, be a good listener. And not just a listener of, just as I said, news or shows, but also a listener of other people's ideas. Okay? When you're listening, when you're debating, when you're talking, don't just talk to people or don't just listen to people who confirm your bias or who give you more points on your side. Listen to people, read about ideas that are totally opposite to what you believe in. Because only when you know both sides is when, again, you can come up with an analytical, logical, and an articulate, persuasive argument. So don't just look at arguments that are one-sided. Make sure you're reading every single thing. Again, then we have language. A lot of people feel that if you have a certain kind of accent, or if you speak a certain way, or if you're brilliant in English, only then can you be a great debater, and other languages don't have that space. I don't believe that. Just be language mein aap comfortable ho, try and strengthen that. That's about it. You don't have to be you there's no status that's attached to speaking in English or speaking in Hindi or speaking in your regional language. Whatever language you're most comfortable in, first build your oratory skills in that. Second, see which form of debate is language friendly as it comes to the language that you can speak, you're comfortable in. So I would definitely advocate for that. Then we have vocabulary. Vocabulary is important. It's very important because I personally feel that stronger the vocabulary, you would have more tools to express yourself much better. If your vocabulary is going to be limited, there's only so much you can express yourself. But obviously, nobody's expecting you to, pick the 26 words that the Tharurosaurus has, the new book by Shashi Tharoor. Nobody's expecting you to, pick huge words. Don't even do that. I used to think like that. I thought that, when you're making an argument, it has to be super flowery, filled with difficult words, which only one person in the room can understand. Now I'm of the opinion that as long as you're getting your message across effectively, that's all that matters. So definitely work on your vocabulary, but don't think that that's the end or start of your oratory skills. It's not. It comes much later. Okay. Then we have hand gestures. So like I'm speaking, you can see I am doing hand gestures. I personally feel comfortable when I do hand gestures. I just feel that it helps me express. Just as I said before, it's totally okay to do hand gestures. It's okay to do whatever makes you feel comfortable as long as you're not being offensive. Don't do hand gestures. Don't be aggressive. Don't stomp. Don't do all of that just to come across as intimidating. Do whatever you're comfortable, keeping in mind that the other speakers and everybody else in the room also needs to be comfortable with whatever you're doing. So these were the requisites for debating that you should definitely जैसे बोलते नहीं है कि गांठ बांध के रख लो, like इनको गांठ बांध के रख लो. Then we have language. Again, I've talked about language. See the format of the debate that would be helpful to the language you're most comfortable in, and then build on your language and your oratory skills. Again, as I said, no language debate is better than the other. No format of debate is better than the other. You really need to find your fit. It's the same thing as, when you do a law degree, like when I did my law degree, I know that there's no way I would ever practice tax law. So that's something I had to decide. And I knew that I would be good at a field, and I pursued it. That's the same thing with everything you do in life, and that's the same thing with debating as well. I would reiterate, don't force yourself into being great at everything. Pick your style, the style that resonates with you, and keep working hard to build it and hone it better. Then platforms. So the question is, what platforms do you all have to become better orators? One of the best platforms, believe you me, that you have is a Model United Nations. Now, the thing with Model United Nations is that it's not the greatest platform to become a superb debater, because again, as I said, debates are adversarial. A Model United Nations generally is more about collaboration and building an argument that would lead to a resolution by the end of the conference. So Model United Nations is more about collaboration. But the beauty about Model United Nations is that when you go, you are expected to research. You are expected to know things. You are expected to represent your country, to represent your stance. And all of that, like everything that you have to do in a Model United Nations, all of that would help you when you're, let's say, preparing for your stance when you're preparing for your stance, whether in a Lincoln Douglas debate or a parliamentary debate or Oxford style debate, it definitely opens a lot of arrays. I did Model United Nations. I used to really like Model United Nations. Again, I'm saying it's not because it's the best platform for debates, but it gives you a little bit of everything. You have debate, and then you have collaboration and discussion and resolution towards the end of it. And there's a lot of research involved. So definitely look into Model United Nations. Then you have youth parliament. I personally have never been a part of a youth parliament, but if you get to do that, definitely do that. Again, it's a different format from a Model United Nations. Model United Nations is more formal. It is expected of you to behave like a delegate. A youth parliament, again, is formal, but not at the level of a Model United Nations. Then for lawyers, for budding lawyers, do moots, do as many moots as you can. Again, at the end of the day, being a good orator is not about how you speak or how flowery your language is. Being a good orator is about how persuasive you are, what your non-verbal and verbal cues are, how your body language is, how you react to questions, whether you think on your feet. It's a culmination of all of those things. So definitely do moots. And again, if you're not very comfortable with doing moots, do research. That's also very helpful, because at the end of the day, if you're not able to construct a good argument, which researchers are able to do because they're reading so much, if you're not able to construct a good argument, you will not be a good orator. And one of my most favorite platforms to becoming a good orator is the mirror. I personally had a big stage fright when I was 15 to 16. I could not, I was very scared to go up on the stage. I always wanted to go on the stage, but I always thought I'm going to make a mistake. I would say something wrong. I would forget all the English that I know. I would forget all the Hindi I would know, and I basically would freeze on the stage. So what I started doing was that I started watching a lot of orators online. Please do that. Watch different kinds of orators, famous orators, Hindi, English, as many orators as you can, and pick the things you like from those orators, right? If let's say you like the way Barack Obama speaks, because he has a very strong and persuasive baritone, and he's a very calm speaker, pick that from him. If you like how persuasive Narendra Modi is, pick that from him. Just watch as many videos you can, see which style you like, and then practice. Practice as much as you can in front of the mirror. Write down speeches, practice again in front of the mirror. Becoming an orator is not something that happens like overnight. It happens when you're constantly building on that confidence that I can do this. कि मुझे आता है. I will not make a mistake. And even if I make a mistake, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. So definitely use the mirror as your best friend until you feel confident. Believe you me, the crux of the entire conversation that we have had today is that there are three things you need to remember at all times when you're trying to become a good orator. First is knowing how to construct an argument, and how that would happen is by reading, listening, thinking not just about the position that you're representing, but also from the other side. Second is being persuasive. See what persuasion tactics you can use when you are speaking. And third is confidence. And that's the most important thing. So many leaders would come up on stage, lie with confidence, and we would still believe what they're saying. We would still be swayed by that charisma, by what they're saying. So if you remember all these three things, believe you me, even if you don't remember anything from what I said today, if you remember all these three things, you're good. You're good to go. And with that, I think I pretty much have covered everything that I wanted to cover today about the art of debating. Now I think we're open for questions, and I would love to take questions from all of you.
All right, thanks for such an insightful lecture, Kudrat. Now we'll be taking up the questions. So if you have any questions for Kudrat, you can drop them in the chat box and we'll try to answer all of your queries. So, any questions? Okay, so we have a question from Prajumana Malpani that to what extent poetry can be used in debate?
To what extent?
Poetry can be used in debate.
I think it really depends what your style of writing poetry is. Can you all hear me? Okay. It really depends on what your style of poetry is. You know, if you write couplets, then definitely use at the start. This is something I used to use in my papers. I till date I would use quotations or couplets if that resonates with the topic that I'm writing on. So you can use poetry. It really depends on what kind of poetry you write. So as I said, couplets at the start, maybe couplets at the end. If you have if you have an entire poem that you would like to speak and you have the time to include it in your in your speech, then definitely add it towards the start. Now that's very instinctual. Like, you have to use your instinct as to where you want to use your poetry. Again, you can't make your entire speech about just poetry or couplets, but you can use this poetry to strengthen what you're arguing.
Okay, second question is from Fatima. It's really difficult to debate on a particular motion when you are yourself against it. How to deal with situations like this when you are allotted the motion on spot and with respect to traditional debates?
Right. Beautiful question, Fatima. So, okay. So the reason why, all right. I was just trying to remember something that I asked one of my professors when I started law school. I asked her that how is it legal, or not even legal, how is it ethical for lawyers to defend, let's say, criminals? I was only 18 at that point of time, and I said, how is it ethical for let's say rapists to get a legal representation? And she told me, she said that, when you're in this position, your job as a lawyer is to make sure that you're representing your client zealously. Your job is to legally represent them. And use the same logic as a debater. Your job as a debater there is to distance yourself from your personal beliefs, your personal aims and goals. Your job there is to make sure that you're arguing the question at hand, arguing the stance at hand in the best way possible. And that is something that you have to work on. Like, distance yourself, create a barrier between what you're arguing and what you personally believe in. It is difficult, but I think that with time and with consistency, you will be able to do that. Don't try to mix your personal beliefs with the beliefs that are given to you to argue for. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Sana, I think we can take the next question. Now, are you there?
Oh.
Yes. Sana, I think we can take the next question.
Yeah, but I'm not able to start my video.
It's all right. You can just take up the question.
The question is, this COVID pandemic time, many are organizing virtual debates. What, according to you, is good, a virtual debate or a physical debate?
I think that a virtual debate is a need of the hour because this is the new normal that we're living in. I personally really like the idea of having people around, of being on the stage, of being able to see the opponent, being able to see the audience. That's also that's the experience of debating, whether you win or you lose. But I also feel that virtual debating is great for first-time debaters or for debaters who are trying to build their confidence regarding speaking, because you're in your safe space, you're in your cozy space, and you can speak without getting intimidated by having hundreds of people in front of you. So I feel that both of them have their own purpose and role to play. I don't think I can choose between any of it because they both have their pros and cons.
Yeah, fine. So another question is from Ananya Trivedi. How to deliver an effective rebuttal?
I'm sorry, how to how to deliver an effective
How
rebuttal?
to deliver, yeah.
Okay, great. So the thing about a rebuttal is that you cannot bring any new points, which is what, whether it's an Oxford style debate or parliamentary debate. So your answers for a rebuttal depends on your listening. So were you listening to the other side? What were you listening to? And when you're listening to them, see, every side, the bliss of being a good debater, orator, somebody who thinks on their feet, is that you can argue from both sides, right? So if you're listening and you're jotting down points, you're trying to find loopholes in the other person's in the opponent's arguments, just write that down, make a note which are the strongest loopholes, and just attack those loopholes. That's all you need to do.
Okay, so Mukesh has a question. How do mood courts influence the power of debating?
How do mood courts? The thing about mood courts is that I would like to say they're more like Oxford style debating, because you pretty much, you're given a proposition and you both are either defending it, you're either defending your client or you're representing the state, for example, and you both have very, very, very different stances. Like there's no middle ground to collaborate. Like, even though that happens generally in in real life, but in a moot court, you both have to, both parties have to defend their own stances. So definitely when you're doing that, when you're constantly saying why your client, let's say, deserves relief, you're going against the other party and you're trying to prove that what you're arguing is better than the other side. So it is, in a way, Oxford style of debating, where you have to just keep bringing your points and keep stating that what you are saying has more value than the other side. So it definitely helps in building argumentative skills. It definitely helps in becoming a good debater, because that's why I said at the start, the thing about debating is that you have to prove that whatever you're saying is correct. And that's why personally, I am not the biggest fan of debating, because the field that I work in, it's more about collaboration.
Okay, Dakshita Sharma wants a suggestion from you. Which model MUN would you suggest to join, as there are so many nowadays?
Right. I think I've been out of the MUN circuit for a really long time, and at the end of the day, when I started doing MUNs, there were hardly any MUNs. So whichever the ones that were happening were really good. But now, since there are so many MUNs, again, I do feel it's become more like a business. Don't do MUNs to see to think that, oh my god, they're going to have a big impact on your resume. That should not be your goal. Your goal should be, all right, this is an MUN that I can attend. I have the time, I have the resources, I should go and attend and see what to learn. I should go. In fact, if you are scared of speaking, go to MUNs that are not very famous. Go there, even though the level of debate is not going to be the best. You can, वो बोलते नहीं, एक hitch, like, मतलब you can get over the hitch of speaking on the mic. You can get over the hitch of going to the podium and speaking. So strategize according to that. See where you are as a speaker. If you think you can go to a new MUN, just go get over that hitch. If you think you're a good speaker and you have fair knowledge, then definitely research your MUNs and go.
Okay. Swapnil is asking how to work on brevity.
I'm sorry?
How to work on brevity.
Brevity, yes. So the thing with brevity is that one of my law professors used to say, with brevity comes clarity. So the thing with brevity is that when you get a topic, make a chart. Don't just walk there. Don't just walk on the podium with just everything you have. For the first like 1 minute, write down all the ideas that you have. Then pick your top 5 ideas. Out of the top 5 ideas, pick your top 3 ideas and build on those 3 ideas. Again, when you know a lot, when you have knowledge, you want to add everything. You want to make your argument as persuasive as you can. But the thing with that, like the double-edged sword that it is, the thing with that, the cons of that is that you can fill in so much information that it weakens your argument, on the other hand. So don't try and cover everything. Like that would be the trick. Don't cover everything. Even if you miss out some points, that's fine. Your aim is not to prove that you're the most intelligent person in the room. Your aim is to prove that your argument is better than the other side. That's it.
Okay, another question is from Sanjali Das. To what extent facts and data or statistics can we use in a debate?
You can use as many facts and data as long as they're correct. I personally am not a very statistical person. I don't use a lot of data in my debates or when I am arguing about something, but that's just me. I'm not very comfortable with that. If you are comfortable with it, definitely use it. But again, your entire debate, as I said, should not just be about facts and statistics. It should also have a value principle. It should also have, let's say, if something is wrong, you're talking about stats. Let's say if we say, you know, female feticide in Haryana, for example, you would mention what the what the rates are of female feticide, but you wouldn't just talk about that. You would also talk about what are the societal reasons, what are the sociological reasons that's happening. So make it a mix of not just statistics, but also like other factors, morality, moral arguments or legal arguments, so on and so forth.
Right, we have a few questions regarding English language and the self-confidence and how to speak like fluent English in a debate. So if you can give a general answer to all of questions like confidence in English, that would be better.
Right. Again, as I said, don't stress yourself about you need to sound a certain way. Don't stress yourself about that you need to speak a certain way, that this word needs to sound this way. Don't badger yourself, telling yourself that that I don't sound. I think I'm definitely speaking from my own experiences. When I went for debates, I would definitely compare myself to a lot of other debaters. We all do that. We all do that. We compare ourselves to people who we feel are better. And I would do that, and I thought that, all right, I'm not speaking a certain way. Maybe I can speak this way. Maybe my accent can be less thicker. Maybe, I should be more pompous when I speak. So again, as I would say, keep practicing, keep listening, keep watching videos. If when you go for competitions, even if you're out, make sure that you're listening to other speakers. Just gain as much as you can. Like be like a sponge. Take, and then see what fits for you. Like you take 10 things, just see the top 5 things that fit for you and start working on yourself. And
Okay,
again, when
Nitin Reddy.
Sorry.
Okay,
The question also talked about confidence, right? The question also talked about confidence, right? Okay, so the thing about confidence is that confidence stems from low self-esteem. So this is more of a psychological question that you need to ask yourself. Why is it that you're feeling that you would make a mistake? Like, why is the self-esteem wavering? I used to feel that when I used to go on stage. Now whenever I go on stage, I feel that nobody's understanding what I'm speaking, but whatever I'm speaking makes a lot of sense to me. So you have to trick your mind. Some people go on stage and they feel that, oh, I have I have goats sitting in front of me. They don't understand what I'm speaking. So guess what? They can't judge me. So you have to play tricks with your mind, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Okay, so another question is from Nitin Reddy. In what way it can be improved during an argument? Any suggestions whether to attend TV debates or not?
I'm sorry, how much TV debates?
Yeah, it's about whether television debate can be improved during an argument, and should we attend TV debates or not?
Okay, so honestly, I don't know how all of you feel about this, but the other day, like 2 months ago, I was very tired from work, and I was like, all right, let's see what's happening on Republic TV. So I put a debate that was happening about Sushant Singh Rajput, and it was Arnab Goswami. And I sat and I just laughed for like 1 hour because I was like, what is happening on the debate? What is this? What is happening? Like they're shouting and nothing is happening. Like there's nothing concrete that I'm learning. All I am getting is negativity and 1 hour of free laughter. So when you're watching TV debates, you have to make a call. Like you have to see, are you learning anything? Like what are you learning? If you're learning something, maybe just go online, fact check. That was the same thing with the presidential debate that happened here. You know, there was constant heckling. All of us switched off our televisions. We were like, what did we learn? The idea for the audience of every debate is you need to learn something. And you need to be given facts in such a way that they're equal from both sides so that you can decide what you believe in, whether you believe in A or you believe in B. It will not serve you if all you're listening to are facts from A and facts B, like facts from B are not even being allowed to be presented. So that is a judgment call that you need to make.
Okay, another question is how to handle open-ended questions during rebuttals.
Okay, so the thing with open-ended questions is that they can confuse you a lot because just an open-ended question is as good as a question that you can debate on. You can have an entire debate on. So in your mind, when you get an open-ended question, try to narrow it down. Make it a close-ended question for yourself and then answer. Again, not all answers are going to be perfect. Not all answers can be perfect. So try to limit the scope in your head. See, I have 1 minute or 50 seconds, and this is all I can answer, and this is all I'm going to answer. That's it.
It's an interesting question. I think most of us face this question. During a debate, we forget our point of view and become blank. How to overcome the circumstances? I think
it's totally okay. Yeah. I think it's totally fine to blank out. I think we have to normalize that because when we are debating, there's this expectation that we would remember everything, and then we have to be 100% and keep speaking and not forget even a single word. It's very normal that you can lose your train of thought. When that happens, take a moment, realize it, take a breath, don't panic, and then start with as much grace as you can. If you forget something, take a minute and just be like, okay, I lost my train of thought, but guess what I'm going to say? Like, come back. Like, make sure your revival is strong. It's if you feel that you made a mistake, if you feel that you stuttered, or oh my god, like the heavens are going to fall, you are going to give that anxiety to the judges, to the audience. The audience will gasp. They'll be like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Like they will do that. The judges will be like, all right, there's a mistake. Guess what? The other team's going to take it. If you recognize it, you treat it very normally that, all right, this happened. It's fine. You have to take it normally.
Another question is, will it look fine if we put our personal narrative during debating?
It depends on the topic of the debate. And to be very honest, your personal narrative, for example, if you're explaining your own story, sure, if it's a parliamentary debate, maybe you can try and do that. But if it's a Model United Nations debate or an Oxford style debate, I am not sure to what extent your personal narrative might be helpful. However, let's say, you're talking about, the topic is something very close to you. Let's say tribal women in Chhattisgarh, for example, we're talking about that, and you resonate with that topic because that's where you're from, or that's a legacy that you have. You can talk about that. You can bring your personal narrative. For example, we're talking about abortion. and let's say you personally had to go through it, or your sister had to go through it, your mother had to go through something like that, and how that is so deeply ingrained in your life, you can start that, you can use that in the start. And just as you would use poetry, just as you would use some other figure of speech, you can use that in the start. But don't build your entire argument on your personal narrative. I wouldn't say that. So use it to advance your argument, don't make it your argument.
Okay, so Karishma K is asking, what are some of the best ways to begin debate speech when we are given a short time limit and we cannot give an introduction on the topic?
So what are the best ways? Again, as I said, it really depends on your style of debating. Some people would start with a couplet, some people would make a joke about something, some people would quote facts. It really depends. It's not something that I can advise you. I generally try to crack a joke, or I try to go there and start with a lot of facts. It totally depends on what the topic is. It's something very instinctive, and it's something you have to build over time. Find your niche.
Okay, Himal Pandey is asking, in India, English is a more preferred language to debate in. What is your take with Hindi debaters? Does the audience like them?
I think that the end of every debate is to listen and see two people put their ideas, as I mentioned before, in the most articulate ways. I personally enjoy, as long as the debate is structured well and the speakers are confident, it doesn't matter to me whether it's an English debate or a Hindi debate. Whenever I'm listening to a debate, I am just so fascinated by how people use language, how debaters, put their points across, their body language, their style of debating. I always look for that. Personally, I am not biased towards English or Hindi language debates. I don't think that's fair.
Okay, cool. So how questioning can drive arguments to a productive debate?
How questioning can drive arguments to a productive
debate.
Well, questioning. So I think that the importance of questions is that you're trying, again, your argument is only solid if there are no loopholes, and only then will you be convinced. Let's say if you make an argument to me and I find a loophole, I will question you. If you give me an answer that convinces me or that makes sense to me, I will be convinced. So I think questioning, even though we're all very scared because we're like, oh my god, like we need to interact with another person and they would now find a loophole. I think questions are a very, very good opportunity to take a step forward and explain your narrative and your part in a better way.
Okay, so another question is, how crucial is the correctness of your factual argument in a debate? How important are the facts? How crucial are the facts, correct facts in your debate?
I think that they're only crucial if you're using them. If you're not using them, then that's fine. But if you're using them, they have to be correct. You cannot misquote facts, or you cannot misquote stats. Yeah, obviously, like the stat can be a little like 0.2 up and down, that's fine. But don't quote anything you're not sure about. If you think that factually you're wrong, don't quote it, because it would only help you if the moderator or the judge is not aware about. If the moderator or judge is aware about it, or the other side is aware that you are factually wrong, they will use that loophole against you. So don't quote anything that you're not sure about.
Okay, so to wrap up all this, people are asking about the sources of research, like where should we get our research from? So if you can throw some light on that also.
Your research, honestly, again, it doesn't have to be PhD research. All you need to do is just go on Google, right? Literally do that, because there's so many topics under the sky. If you start researching on everything, believe you me, it would take 10 years. So whatever you're researching on, go on Google, read the first Wikipedia page that you're going to get, then go on news, see what the news is. You will understand what the pattern of the topic is. Then go back to Google and research, or like type the other side. For example, if your topic is, death penalty should be given to rapists, read everything about it, then read why it should not be given to rapists, so that you have both the sides, so that you already are prepared with what the other side is going to bring to you.
Okay, so people are again asking about stage phobia and body language. I think you answered that in the confidence section, the English. So now another question is how to formulate effective argument during a debate.
Right. So even though I answered this before, I just want to tell all of you that I have personally been in that situation where it freezes to be on stage. Believe you me, all you have to do is just keep telling yourself every single day that you're good. Tell yourself, I'm a good speaker, I am a good speaker, I am a good speaker. You just have to do that. Give yourself that positive affirmation that you didn't get when you were supposed to get. Do that. And believe you me, once you're confident, that's all that's going to matter. If you're confident, you would know what you're speaking. If you're confident, no matter what you have, you will be able to present it well. And it is confidence, reading, listening, destructuring all the information you have in your head, which will help you to construct better arguments.
Okay, so thank you for this overwhelming question answer session. I think we are done here. Now, I would like to welcome Ms. Razwal Purewal, the in charge for Think India Debating Forum, to conclude this webinar and a note of thanks. Over to you, Razwal.
Right. Thank you, Sana. Sana, am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, you are.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Are.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'd like to begin by thanking Kudrat for taking out the time to, take up this webinar. Extremely modest on debating skills, but honestly speaking, she was my mentor. She was my executive board member when I attended my second Model United Nations conference. So we, like the entire Chandigarh circuit, or this circuit here that we have of the Model United Nations conferences, we've actually looked up to her. And I'm extremely grateful that you actually said yes to taking up this webinar. Thank you, Kudrat. Now, as we conclude this session, I'd like to thank the senior members of Think India, Ganesh Surroy-ji, our national in charge, Shivam Raghuvanshi-ji, our former national co-convener, and Aditya Kashyap-ji. He's the current national co-convener for Think India. Thank you, all of you, for making it possible for me to conduct this event. It could have not been possible if it wasn't for your constant support. Now, lastly and most importantly, I'd also like to thank the volunteers of the debating forum. It's all because of your sheer hard work that we've been able to pull off this webinar and the conference together. And thank you for the participants for joining us for this webinar. I'm extremely grateful for all of you. Thank you so much.